Okay, so I talk about relationships with money all the time. I love equating relationships with money to people relationships with other people. So today I'm bringing on a guest expert who really deals in human relationships. And so we're going to talk to him. And along the way, I'm hoping that you'll see how those real relationships can be applied to you and your money and create a great relationship there as well. So stay with us. Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello. Welcome to the Money and You Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host, and we have a fabulous show today. We're going to really hone in on relationships. And I have a great guest with me today who's going to help us do that. So I'm going to introduce him, Ed Johnson, a.k.a. Dr. Love. That's Dr. The Real Deal Love. Dr. Love is a speaker, relationship coach, author of the book 3 Things Every Woman Needs to Know About a Man, and founder of Love University. Dr. Love is quickly gaining credibility in the relationship industry and rapidly becoming one of the premier authorities on dating, love, romance, and marriage. Dr. Love started his career in cosmetology nearly 40 years ago, and that has catapulted into a career that now creates true and lasting love connections. Dr. Love opened his first hair salon in 1981. Women would talk to him not just about their hair, but about their lives. They'd open up to him and then would wonder why they were telling him all these intimate details. He earned their trust, and they became comfortable. It was these invaluable conversations that set the stage for the creation of relationship coaching and curriculums for women. Dr. Love has been happily married for many years. October 6, 2019, he'll be celebrating 40 years of marriage to his high school sweetheart, Linda. Dr. Love has raised 3 daughters of his own and was impacted by 5 sisters during his childhood. Dr. Love's purpose is to help women actualize and understand the full power and potential of men, with access to education and scientific research that empowers women to know whose power drives the relationship and what power creates a relationship filled with romance and unconditional love. You're invited to classes, case studies, and webinars. You can also participate in Dr. Love's Q&A session, where he'll be answering frequently asked questions, such as, is it normal to be tired in a relationship? What to do when leaving feels just as bad as staying? And when to see Dr. Love. Be sure to look for his weekly blog post and YouTube videos on Thursdays for more life-changing information. Welcome. Hello, Ed, Dr. Love.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. And thank you for reaching out to me. I really appreciate you coming here today. And you are zooming in from where?
Philadelphia, city of brotherly love and sisterly affection.
I love it. That's great. And when we first talked, I thought, well, you're a super interesting guy. We had a great conversation, but you're talking about relationships, and that's not really, well, first I thought that's not really my area. And then I realized, but yes, it is, because every single time I get on the show, I'm talking about your relationship with money. So I thought I am going to hear you out, hear about what you have to say to people about having great relationships, and let the wheels turn and see how I can equate that to how people can relate to money. And I know you'll help me with that as well. But so can you give us a little background on how, for one thing, we have a lot of career changers listening to the show. And so you made a big career change and just how you got to this point where you're doing this work.
Michelle, it's been exciting. And one of the things that I always encourage your listeners is it's never too late. I can't stress that enough. It's never too late. When it comes down to life, when it comes down to living, when it comes down to being alive, so many people, in life, they say, tiptoe through life, hoping to make it successfully to the grave. And why do that when you can have a blast going through life? Okay. So I encourage you, it's never too late. And in my career, as you know, I did hair for over 30 years. And it was upon just talking with women and then navigating my three daughters. I have five children. I have two sons and three daughters. And working with both the male and the female gender, I realized working with my sons is great, but when I work with women, that's where the power lies.
I love it.
So I wanted to get where the power is, and that's why I work with women. And it was my daughters that really catapulted me to doing this, because I was sharing with my daughters, when they were growing up, we would do different things together. We would go on dates. I would, buy them things. In fact, one of my daughters still have the little diamond chip earrings that I bought them when they were 16.
Aww.
And I would talk with my daughters, and I would tell them certain things about how beautiful they were and all the things that, men think about women. And my daughters would say to me, "Oh, you're my father. You're supposed to say that." And they really didn't internalize and understand what I was saying and what I was doing. So I said to myself, when I equate my salon experience along with my daughters, I said, if my daughters have me actively in their lives and they're still questioning themselves, I said, how many other women are out there that are really talented, that really have a lot on the ball, that's really extremely bright, but they're doubting themselves? So I said, working with them, y'all tell me if I should go further. Well, I used to have Saturday breakfast talking with my daughters and their friends. And here I am. My daughter said, yes, you need to go further. So I'm here.
I love that. That's fantastic. And, I do think it's interesting to go from hearing all those many, many conversations that you had with women sitting there getting their hair done. I know the conversations I have with my hairdresser I've had for 25 years, and it gets pretty deep. So she may know me better than anyone. I'm not sure. But I think you really do gain an understanding for what's going on. And I loved your first message about it's never too late, because I don't know even where that came from, but I feel like I'm having that conversation a lot with people around careers. You might have meant around love. I don't know, but I don't think it's really too late for much of anything, except
you're right.
I can think of a couple things, but not everything.
We won't go there, right?
But yeah, I think that's such a beautiful message, because I guess my question to you is, when you were, sitting with these women, well, you weren't sitting, but you were working, were they talking about, were they sort of lamenting their, inability to do things because they felt it was too late? Because I hear that a lot. I'm too late to start over. I'm too late to find love. I'm too late to start a new career. I'm too late to save for retirement. It's kind of a lot of too lates that I hear.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I don't buy into it. I agree with you, but I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm. Well, Michelle, you were right when you said sitting, when I was sitting with them, because you would think a hairdresser was on his feet all day long. No, I had a stool beside my chair. I would sit down sometime, especially if I'm cutting hair your length, and I'm 6'1", so I had to kind of like get down a little bit. So I would sit down and, trim ends and cut bangs. So I would be sitting sometime. And if the conversation got intense, I would sit for a little while, My cousin, I did my cousin's wife's hair. And he said, you were the slowest hairdresser. And, because we were relating. But, having those conversations and them talking, someone asked me, why am I a woman's relationship empowerment coach? Because from where I'm sitting, women really are the underserved portion of our community. And women are really the driving force. I thought that was really interesting. They're the underserved, and yet they're the driving force. Mm-hmm. So I would hear their concerns, and I would hear some of the things that they're saying, and I would be saying within myself, I said, that's fixable. That's doable. You can make some improvements on that. But what happens is, oftentimes, someone said to me, it's good when a woman encourages a man and believes in him. And I said, that's absolutely true. But what happens when she doesn't believe in herself? Mm-hmm. And that's the first start of it, is to begin to get our women, and that, I'm not saying anything about the men, but that's my focus, is to get women to understand believing in herself, believing in her possibilities, believing in the dreams that she has dreamt are very much given to her because it's possible to bring them into reality. And that's the reason I always use the word empowering, and it's never too late, because it's never too late. As long as you begin to wake up and recognize your power. Those are two good words that I always use: to awaken from limited thinking and limited possibilities, and recognize the opportunities are always there.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree with you that if there's a dream you have, that opportunity exists, or you wouldn't be having that dream. So, yeah, very interesting. And did you find, I think if you're disempowered in one area, you're going to be disempowered in most areas. So when it comes to things like money, if you already feel disempowered in some way, then that's going to certainly manifest in terms of your financial success as well, I would think. So in terms of being financially secure and successful, I think that you need this empowerment as much as you need it for anything else.
Absolutely. And the thing about it, Michelle, I said I was going to share it today. It just so happened earlier today, I received a call because, not only am I a women's relationship empowerment coach, I do marriage counseling as well. And but my goal is always, I believe, in order to prevent divorce, it's done before marriage. However, there are those times when you get in and you say, I do, and there's some challenges that arrive. So I was talking with someone today, and we were talking about an argument that broke out, and it was around misunderstanding, and it happened to be about money. Money makes up, and it's estimated, because you really never know, because, when it comes down to statistics and surveys, I haven't really participated in a lot of surveys, so sometimes they haven't asked me, but it gives you a general rule of thumb that the arguments in relationships and marriage is almost 80 to 90% around finances. It's around finances. And, raising 5 children and being the father that I wanted to be to my children, I use the term, money is so important because it gives you the peace of provision. See, the peace of provision, when you have the peace of provision, when you can provide and express yourself, that when something arises, when something comes up, I have the wherewithal to solve the problem, it gives you and everyone connected to you a sense of peace that life is okay.
Yeah.
So the peace of provision is real. And that was the conversation today I was sharing with the person that called me. I said, you want to remember that as a young man, when I was raising my children, I never shared it with my wife, but I had 5 children and my wife didn't always work when my children were smaller. I said, I never said to Linda, although I experienced it, I said, honey, when it comes down to when I look at my responsibility to take care of my family, I said, sometimes I'm terrified. I never shared that with her. Most men would not share the awesome challenges, the awesome burden that they feel when they're inadequate financially. So money, when it comes down to relationship, money is at the top of the list, because when money is flowing in the relationship, there's not only a peace there, but there's also a tendency to be lighthearted about a lot of other things.
Wow, that's a really good point. And I love that you brought that up. It is a fact that men, I don't think they necessarily talk about it very much. They don't, get support or go to therapy as much as, or get coaching as much as I think women do. But there is a big sense of responsibility that not all men, but a lot of men carry
Those
around.
of us that
Yeah, and it's an admirable thing, but it can be a heavier weight than I think people realize, and I think that's a great point. That sometimes it's going to certainly trigger some arguments once in a while or worse, but But an interesting point. I don't think we talk about it enough. I was just on the last podcast talking about how little we talk about money for women. It was mostly centered around women. Now women need support because they don't talk about money, and there's all this shame and weird stuff around money. And what you're bringing up is, it might be a little different. Maybe it's more the responsibility kind of area, but men have it too. They're going around acting like everything is great and they're doing what they need to. And inside there's this huge fear and worry that they're not doing enough or they're not going to be able to keep it up or whatever it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we don't talk, and, we don't talk about money, and that's on both sides, men and women. You know what I'm saying? We don't talk about it. But here's what we've got to understand. We're not taught about it.
That's right.
See, those are two things that are important. We don't talk about it. And we're not taught about it, okay? When we come through school, we're going through 12 years of primary education. When I was a youngster, they had banking in school. I know I'm dating myself, but there was a bank called PSFS that they would teach us as youngsters. Bring your pennies, bring your nickels, bring your dimes, and save some money. And then they would tell us about interest. See, we at least got that in school. But now, you get hardly any information on when it comes down to money. And in fact, I tell people all the time, I'm retraining myself because we always talk about making money, but it's illegal to make money. Only the mint can make money. We have to earn it. So I'm retraining myself to say, boy, he made a lot of money. No, he didn't make a lot of money. He earned a lot of money. So we have to re-educate ourselves around money.
You're absolutely right. I feel like I have, I bring this up a lot as well. It is a shame that we don't learn more. And, you're another perfect example of somebody who went to cosmetology school. I don't know if they taught, beauty salon owners how to be business people, but I doubt it. I think they taught you how to do all the services, but not how to run a business. And it's very strange. The more I talk about it, the stranger it seems that we don't educate, we don't talk about it, and it's going to be with us our entire life. Like, exactly. Exactly. It's just such an odd thing to ignore out there. And that relationship, if you equate that, what if we ignored our partner? That wouldn't go that well. So, it's the same thing. We're not going to have a good relationship with money if we're trying to squelch our feelings, ignore what's going on, ignore that heavy burden that we feel. It just doesn't work. So, I find it fascinating. And I think it's great that you brought that up. I really, to continue that, so what should couples do about that if the man is having that difficulty with being the responsible person?
Well, one of the things that is so important to really open up the dialogue when it comes down to earning money, when it comes down to the relationship with money, just to get this on the table, I always say the number one relationship in the world is man and woman. That's how we all get there. A man and woman coming together. That's how we get grandmother, cousin, aunts, uncles, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody comes here through that relationship. So that's the number one relationship. However, the most important relationship is your relationship with yourself. Okay? What is your relationship with yourself? Because your relationship with yourself determines every other relationship that you have. One, the relationship with your siblings, your family members, and those around you, and then the relationship with yourself. How are you carrying out the gifts and the talents that you have been given to impact society and to change the things and the circumstances that are around you? I was talking with, I was at an event and I was leaving the event, and a young lady asked me, with a name like Dr. Love, I get love all the time. And a lady said to me, she said, "Hey, Dr. Love." I said, "Hey, how you doing?" She said, "What would you say to a young lady like me?" I said, "How old are you?" I think she was about 26. I said, "Are you in college?" She said, "I'm about to graduate." And it came to me just as clear as we're sitting here. I said, there's two questions that every woman needs to ask herself. And I extended it to men later, but there's two questions that every woman needs to ask herself. And the first question is, what will I spend my life doing? That's her lifelong goal. That's her career, her commitment, her business. What will I spend my life doing? That's her income. That's her earning. That's her money. The second question is, who will I spend my life with? See, those are two powerful questions that you have to be able to answer them in order to navigate through life successfully. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to the man, those are two questions that he has to ask himself as well. Because when it comes down to him providing, when it comes down to him doing the things that he needs to do, has he taken the time to prepare himself financially? The same thing with her. Has she taken the time to develop and prepare herself financially? And this is the reason I lead into that, the question that you asked me, because there are some women, when it comes down to earning, there are some women that would work rings around a man when it comes down to earning power. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we have to talk about that. We cannot go out here like it's only men that earn large amounts of money. There are women that earn huge amounts of money in charge of large corporations and large budgets, and she's a financial genius. And the man comes along and he has less experience than she does, and he somehow equates the relationship of him being less than because he's not on her level financially. So that's a reason that there's a need to open up the dialogue, because your relationship with each other, your relationship with money, hinges on your ability to communicate effectively. And if we communicate effectively, we're talking about heaven on earth. Okay? We're talking about heaven on earth, because I oftentimes say when it comes down to money, I said I would inject this in and you tell me what you think about it, Michelle. When we talk about money, we say money is a representative of an attempt. That just came to me before I came on your show, because I was thinking, and I said money is a representative of an attempt. So in other words, money represents an attempt to pay a bill. If you have the money, you can honor the attempt, and it no longer becomes an attempt. It's you do it. But if you don't have the money and the resources to honor that attempt, now they're coming for you. They're calling for you. Hey, where's Ed? Hey, where you got our money? They want to know because you weren't successful at that attempt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So money is really the representative of an intent. And if you can make that attempt good,
yeah,
life is wonderful. Tell me what you think.
I love this. I love, the way people put words together. And that's a really interesting one, because on the one hand, you're talking about, if you have the money, then you can pay it and that attempt is satisfied or whatever. But if you don't have it, then what does money take on? Then money is this, it becomes some like an adversarial thing where, money's keeping you from being, the lack of money maybe is keeping you from moving forward and getting those people to call you. And, so money becomes the root of all evil, which, I don't believe that, but that's what has been passed down. And we start to feel that way when money creates difficulties for us, and which is not going to help you with a good relationship with money if that's how you feel about it. So very interesting. Yeah, my mind's going to go in a lot of directions with that. So I don't know.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing, and that's where I'm at, and that's where I'm working now, because when it comes down to the relationship, when a man and woman comes together, and the money issue is there. I like to say it like this here. Success in one area is not an excuse for failures in the other areas. Okay?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So because a man or a woman has arrived at a level of success financially, if he or she thinks that's the end all be all, other relationships in your life suffer. You struggle in so many areas because we think because we earn enough money or because we have a lot of money, it entitles us to excuse other areas that we're lacking or that we're failing in.
That's interesting too.
But as a relationship coach, and as I work with relationships, it's important for me to help you understand your relationship with yourself, your relationship with money, your relationship with understanding. It's a 1-2-step theory. You've got to take step 1 and then step 2, because step 2 absolutely gives you what's necessary to begin to say, just because I'm successful in this area, I cannot hide behind my success in this area. So what that looks like is I have someone that I'm working with now, and you ask most people, what do you do for a living? They will say to you, I'm a doctor. Well, that's what you do. That's not who you are.
Right.
See, so we have to start being clear on understanding what you do is not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we want to start empowering and educating our people to begin to understand success in this area is not an excuse for failure in other areas. There's a need for all of us to put in the work in all of our relationship areas, every area that we have, to put in the work necessary so that we're whole. And that's what life is all about. It's about becoming whole, equally balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super interesting. And I could see that even in the relationship you have with money, because you might focus on, if you are earning well, and I see this a lot where people earn really well, but they spend it all. And so they don't actually have much saved or much, that they can invest or whatever. But they're focused on the earning, and they're doing that successfully. So I think that's a great point that you're making, that, focus is important, and you've got to focus on the whole picture. And I love the comment you just made about wholeness. I mean, that's come up a couple of times recently too, and that's a great word. I think I was working with a client on feelings, and the word wholeness came up as a feeling that she wanted to have, in her life more, from her work, from everything. And it's a great word, because I do feel like there's happiness that comes from that, and there's gaps in your satisfaction or your happiness without that wholeness.
That's so important. And when it comes down to relationships and when it comes down to love, oftentimes, because I'm providing a good life for you financially, and I'm lacking in being sensitive to some areas of your life, because I provided a diamond ring, or because I provided a lovely home for you, are you willing to overlook the pain that I'm causing you because of the neglect that I'm rendering to you?
Yeah, that's a great point.
See, those are areas when it comes down to, what is your relationship with money? My relationship with money, and this is such a great topic, and that was one of the questions that you had, is how does relationship and money work? And I mean, I think we're really nailing it today. You know what I'm saying? Because are you willing to overlook the neglect? You know what I'm saying? And here's the sad reality, Michelle, and that's the reason there's so much unbalance in relationships, because the answer is, yes, I am. I've overlooked a lot of things because you provide such a great lifestyle for me.
Interesting. Is that what you're seeing a lot with people that you're?
I just heard that with a in my working with families and couples and people. I was talking with someone, and they were talking about this. This is not man and woman. This is father and daughter. A daughter said to her father, yes, you provided a great lifestyle for me and a great home life for me. But when it came down to just your bedside manner, see, that's a term that I use when it comes down to how do you handle people, because it's been said, people really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
And your bedside manner, what you think of me, how you care for me. So she said, you were a great provider, but you weren't there for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And some of the neglect and some of the hostility, some of the things that I experienced, you know what I'm saying? I really don't want to have a solid relationship with you, regardless of the fact that the money was there,
Mm-hmm.
the provision was there, the lifestyle was there, but you weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
The sensitivity wasn't there. So therefore, it becomes a life of trouble, a life of frustration, a life of pain, because we didn't understand the money-human relationship balance, and there is a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't want people misquote the Bible all the time when they talk about money is the root of all evil. It's not money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. See, you've got to understand it's important to love people and use money. But oftentimes we love money and we use people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, really, really interesting. And I think when I talk about your relationship with money, I encourage people to love their money, but not in a greedy, weird way, but like to love it enough to be able to sit down on a regular basis and look at your numbers and not get freaked out or judge yourself, but just to work with it and make it work for you. So I find all of this, the language we use around all of this stuff is really fascinating. And I love what you're saying. I also really love the fact that you're bringing up things that we typically talk about with women with regard to men. For example, work-life balance. I think most people, maybe it's just my world, but I feel like most people are thinking that's a woman's issue, trying to juggle kids and work, and you're talking about it as something that maybe has been overlooked for men. There hasn't even really been a push for men to have work-life balance, I don't think. I mean, men are on their own. If they want to design their lives that way, they do. But I think in general, work is a number one priority for a lot of men. Making money is a number one priority, and that's where the focus and the time and the energy goes. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure I spend a lot of time thinking about whether men have work-life balance. I really attribute that to being more of, something that falls on women. So I appreciate you bringing it up, because I like myself to be forced to think a little differently. Like, maybe I haven't appreciated the difficulties men have trying to get work, if they're even trying. I think that one thing, women talk about it a lot. Men don't really talk about needing work-life balance.
And that's one of the things that when it comes down to communication, when it comes down to men don't communicate as openly as women do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A comedian was saying one time, it's like a woman will stand up. My wife will stand up if we're out with friends, and she'll say, "Come on, Donna, let's go to the bathroom together." You know what I'm saying? And they'll get up and grab their purse, and they don't think nothing of it. If I was to stand up and ask another man, "Hey, Jim, Bob, Tony, let's go to the bathroom together," people are like, "Huh?" So men don't, they don't get a chance to really open up and talk about the insecurities, the inadequacies when it comes down to money. And as a result of it, one of the things that I say in my working with people, working with women, working with couples, is to begin to disconnect you from society. See, like you were just talking about, you said, I encourage people to love money. And I understand that. And I would say, love the experience, love the ability to handle it, to earn it, and all those things, but not to love it in a sense of possession, because, when you die, you've never seen a Brinks truck behind a hearse. You know what I'm saying? You can't take it with you. So, it's got to have the right place.
Completely
So when
agree.
it comes down to men and understanding it, we have to begin to disconnect from society. That's one of the things that I really stress is disconnecting from society, because in our homes, you know what I'm saying, Michelle, you run your home differently than I run my home. Things happen differently in my home than it happens in your home. But if we let society in our homes and in our personal lives and in our understanding of money, society says, this is what you should do when it comes down to money, relationship, kids, and all the above.
That's right.
And
yeah.
Society, when it comes down to society almost will miss it every time. Okay? So I feel it's important for us to share with the listeners, for them to at least begin to hear the statement is to disconnect from society and to begin to establish your relationship, one, with yourself, your relationship with money, your relationship with your mate, whether it's your man or it's a woman. Begin to disconnect from society and to begin to establish things from the heart, because that's what it's all about. Because when it comes down to money, here's another thing that I said I'm going to share on this show. When it comes down to money, you are money. See, money is reflected based on how you see yourself. See, money is neither good or bad. Money is what you think of it.
I agree.
Okay? So you are money because it's a rate of exchange. And when you see yourself as a astronaut, or if you see yourself as a lawyer, or if you see yourself head of a multi-million-dollar company, what you're really saying is, I embody the fortitude, the confidence, the self-esteem, the assertiveness to command $500,000 a year. That's what you're saying, because I am money. And when you fall short and in lack, what's really happening is there's really a misunderstanding of who you are, and what you can have. It's a simple misunderstanding.
I love that. I have a visualization I do with clients that's called I Am Money, actually. And you sort of try to close your eyes and put yourself in the place of being money. That's really excellent. I think that's really important for people to see. And I love what you're saying about disconnecting from society. I mean, that's where a limit-free life comes from, really, is to be able to tap into your own soul and your own heart and be yourself. And it's crucially important in how you live your life. And you do see people out there who are doing things in a way so that they get love or they get money, but it's so inauthentic and so really not meaningful to them that, they're not happy people. And so it's really important what you're saying. And yeah, I appreciate the way you said it. It's really effective and powerful. So
and that's so important, you know what I'm saying, because happiness, I said this a while ago, and just working with myself, because those are things, we talk a lot about other people, but how much time do you spend working with yourself? And I spent a lot of time working with myself. And the longer I live, the more time I spend working with myself, because I was teaching my children. I said, a better me makes a better you. You see, if I get better, you're going to get better. Okay. And see what happens in life. And I was talking today's been a busy day. I had an interview this morning. And we were talking about relationships, and we were talking about, as a result of your relationships, the good and the bad, have you become bitter or better?
Ooh, love that question.
Okay. Which are you going to become as a result of it? Are you going to be bitter, or are you going to be better? Okay. Because if you can take the lemons in life and make lemonade, if you can take the pressures of life and press them down and stand on them so that they become your supporting rock, you take on life as it should be, because none of us has ever been told it's really going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? Life is going to roll over and give you everything you want, okay? No one ever told us that, okay? So you're going to cry sometime. You're going to get knocked upside your head sometime. You're going to have substantial losses. I don't like to talk a lot about it, but I've gone through some losses. Michael Todd said this about money. He said, I've lost my fortune many times, he said, but I've never been poor. See, so life will throw you some challenges, but that's not the key. The key is, how do you respond to them?
Yeah.
And 90% is what life has done to you. And the other 10% is how will you respond, because your response is everything. So I encourage people not to get bitter, but to get better. And that's the reason I begin to share that phrase. I was getting ready to say coin it. I don't know if it's coined, but a better me makes a better you. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to get better and better.
I love that. I'm a big proponent of exactly what you're saying. Self-awareness. That's the key. I mean, forget, blaming everybody else and trying to, change everybody else. Work on yourself, and the people around you will start changing and evolving as well. And if not, they'll fall away. They just will not be as big a part of your life, and that's okay too. But yeah, that was beautiful. And I think with respect to money as well, the way you operate with money, I mean, is that making you bitter or better is a great question. I love good questions. I think that's really a key to life. I think it was Tony Robbins who said the quality of the questions you ask yourself will determine the quality of your life. And so I'm always looking for good questions. That's an excellent question. So, well, Dr. Love, this has gone really fast. So we're already at the end of our time. And
time flies when you're having fun. We must have been having fun. Right?
Yeah. No, this was great. And I really appreciate you coming on and spending the time with me today. Can you tell people how to find you and how you can help them if they're listening and thinking, wow, I need to talk to this guy?
Absolutely. Well, I specifically created Love University because there needs to be a place where we can begin to talk and dialogue about the things that I've never said to anyone. I was talking with a colleague of mine who's a psychologist, and he said, when a patient leaves the door or when someone leaves the room, he says they grab the doorknob and they open it just a little bit, and they say, "And by the way, doc," and he says, "I'm about to get in 2 minutes what I couldn't get in an hour session with them." Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Love University has been created it's a safe place where you can come and begin to talk about whatever bothers you. And all of us have a backstory, some tragic, some not so tragic. Mm-hmm. But all in all, we need a place, a safe haven. We need a sanctuary where we can come and to begin to heal those wounds that we haven't told anyone about. And that's what Love University is all about. Dr. Love, my website is drtherealdeallove.com. That's drtherealdeallove. And if you don't do anything else, I always say I'm working on getting ranked in Google. If you Google Dr. The Real Deal Love, guess who comes up?
Nice.
I'll come up. Okay. So Google me, find out about me. Boost my rankings, because I want you to be able to get to me. If you need me, I want you to be able to get to me. If you don't need me, I want you to be able to tell others how to get to me, because the question is, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you are. You may not need me, but someone you know might need me. And I want you to share my information with them, because I always tell people there is no way to love. Love is the way.
Mm. That's beautiful. And thank you. I really appreciate that. I hope our listeners will follow you and find you. And I think we connected on LinkedIn, so I know you're there
Yes.
as well. And yeah, this has been great. Lots to think about. I mean, I think bottom line, getting to know yourself really, really well in order to improve your relationships. And that goes for your relationship with money too. Shoot, man, what was the other thing I was going to bring up that you just said? Well, darn it. Okay. Went straight in and out of my brain, but I'll remember it and I'll put it in the show notes. So, I thank you. I truly appreciate you being here. I think that this has been a great conversation. I know what it was. I already came back. Communication. Communication is everything. And if you can... I don't think we know how to communicate about money, and I don't think we know very well how to communicate sometimes with our partner. And so help in that area is really a game changer. So it's great that you're doing that work with people. So thank you, and I will make sure to share the show. And listeners, I hope you will follow us, send us a review, a like, whatever, wherever. We're going to be on all the podcast platforms there are. And you can also find us at the Limit Free Life YouTube channel, the Limit Free Life Facebook page. And I'd love to hear from you about the show. You can reach me at Michelle, 2 L's, at limitfreelife.com. You can go to my website, limitfreelife.com, and you can get some free resources on career change and money mindset and productivity and some other things, see what else we're up to. And thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next week.
Bye for now.